Some important Constitution Amendment Acts. First Constitution Amendment Act 1951. This amendment added Article 15(4) and Article 19(6) and pursuance with the decisions of Supreme Court concerning fundamental rights. Ninth schedule to the Constitution was also added by it. Seventh Constitution Amendment Act 1956. The, through this amendment, implement through this the implementation of State Recognition Act was made possible. The categories of state into Part A, Part B, and Part C concerned henceforth the Part C state were redesignated as union territories. The seat in the Raj Sabha and in the Union and State Legislature where Raj Sabha and the Union and State Legislative were reallocated. It also affected changes regarding appointment of additional and acting judges, High Court and their jurisdiction. 10th Constitution Amendment Act 1961 incorporated Dadar and Nagar Haveli as union territories. 12th Constitution Amendment Act 1962 inclusion of territories of Goa, Daman and Diu into the Indian Union. 13th Constitution Amendment Act 1962 insertion of Article 371A to make special provinces for the administration of state Nagaland. 14th Constitution Amendment Act 1962 Pondicherry, Karaikal, and Yemen. The formation French territories were specified in the Constitution as the Union Territories of Pondicherry enable the UT of Himachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura, Goa, Daman and Diu, and Pondicherry to have legislative and council of ministers. Nineteenth Constitution Amendment Act 1966. Article 324 was amended to clarify the duties of Election Commission. It deprived the Election Commission of the power to appoint the Election Tribunal for deciding election, distribute of members of Parliament and Legislative. 21st Constitution Amendment Act 1967. Sindhi language was included as 15th language in the 8th schedule. Sindhi language. 24th Constitution Amendment Act 1971. It was a retaliatory act of the Parliament to neutralize the effect of the judgment in Golaknath case. It affirmed the Parliament power to end any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights and amending Act 368 and 13. It made obligatory for the President to give assent to amendment bill when they are presented to him. 26 Constitutional Amendment Act 1971. This amendment withdraw the organization to the rule of princely state and their privacy pursue were abolished. 36 Constitutional Amendment Act 1975 clarified that the declaration of emergency by the President and promulgated of ordinance by the President of Governor cannot be challenged in any court and any ground. 39 Constitution Amendment Act 1975. This the dispute or questions regarding election of president, vice president, prime minister and speaker of Lok Sabha were taken out the purview of judicial review of the Supreme Court or High Court. Judicial review of Supreme Court and High Court. 42nd Constitution Amendment Act. The 42nd Constitution Amendment made fundamental changes in the constitution structure and it incorporated the word socialist, secular, and integrity. In the preamble, fundamental duties were added in Part 6A. Directive principles were given precedence over fundamental rights and made to any law made to the effect by the fundamental rights and any law made effect by the parliament was kept beyond the scope of judicial review by the court. It made the power of parliament supreme so far as the amendment to the constitution was concerned. It authorized the Supreme Court to transfer certain cases from one high court to another. Court to another and redefined the read jurisdictions of the High Court. It provided for administrative tribunal for speedy justice. It empowered the center to deploy armed force in any state to deal with the grave law and order situation. It authorized the president to make proclamation of emergency for any part of the country or to whole of India. It made it obligatory for the president to act on the advice of the Council of Ministers. Tenure of Lok Sabha and the State Assembly was increased by 1 year. 43rd Constitution Amendment Act 1977. The 42nd Amendment omit any article inserted by 42 Amendment. It restored the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and the High Court, which had been skirted under the 42nd Amendment. 44 Constitution Amendment Act 1978, June September 1979. The amendment was brought by the Jamanat Party government, which repealed some of the changes affected by 42nd Amendment, omit a few, and provide alternation. Right to property was taken away from the list of fundamental rights and placed a new Article 300A as the ordinary legal rights. Constitutionality of the proclamation of emergency by the president could be questioned in the court on the ground of malafide. 42nd Amendment had made it immune from judicial reviews. It brought the revocation of a proclamation under parliament control. In Article 352 regarding national emergency, the words internal distributions were substituted by the word armed rebellion. It authorized the President to refer back the advice to Council of Ministers for reconsideration, but made it binding for the President to act on the reconsidered advice of Prime Minister and Speaker was restored constitutional protection on publication of proceeding of Parliament and state legislatures was provided. 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1985. This amendment was brought about during Rajiv Gandhi regime with a view to put an end to political defections in added 10th schedule to the constitution containing the mode of disqualification in case of defection from the parliament or state legislative. 55th Constitution Amendment Act 1986. The formation of Arunachal Pradesh took place for a 13th member state assembly. Formation of Arunachal Pradesh. 56 Constitution Amendment Act 1987. Goa was made a full fledged state with a state assembly, but Daman and Diu stays as UT. Goa become state, but Daman and Diu become UT. 56 Constitution Amendment Act 1987. 58 Constitution Amendment Act 1987 and authoritative text of Constitution in Hindi was provided to the people of India by the President. Hindi. 61 Constitution Amendment Act 1988. It brought about an amendment to Article 326 for the reduction of voting age from 21 to 18. 62 Constitution Amendment Act 1989. It increased the period of reservation of seat provided to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe for another 10 years. Up to 2080. The reservation for Anglo-Indians through the nomination in the case of their Inadequate representation was also extended up to 2080. 65 Constitution Amendment Act 1990, a National Commissioner for Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe with wide power and provided to take care of cause of STs and SCs. 69 Constitution Amendment Act 1991. Article 239AA and 239AB were inserted in the Constitution to provide a national capital territories designation to Union territories of Delhi with a legislative assembly and council of ministers. 17th Constitution Amendment Act 1992 alerted Article 30, 54 and 368 to include members of Legislative Assembly of Union Territories of Delhi and Puducherry is elected college for election of the President. 71st Constitution Amendment Act 1992. It included the Manipur, Kurumpur and Nefe language in its schedule. 73rd Constitution Amendment Act 1992. The Constitution of Panchayati Raj received schedule was added to the deal with it also inserted part 9 containing article 243 243A to 243O. 74 Constitution Amendment Act 1992 provided for constituency to municipality by inserting part 9A containing article 243B to 243G and 12th schedule which deal with item concerning municipalities. 78 Constitution Amendment Act 1995. This amendment the ninth schedule of the Constitution to inserted 27 land reforms of various states. After this, the total number of acts including in the ninth schedule were up to 284. 79 Constitutional Amendment Act 1999. Amendment Article 334 to extend the reservation of seat for SC/STs and Anglo-Indian in the Lok Sabha and in the State Legislative Assembly up to 60 years from the consignment of the Constitution. 82 Constitution Amendment Act 2000. This amendment restored the relaxation in qualification mark and standard of evaluation in both job reservation and promotion to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, which was set aside by a Supreme Court judgment in 1996. 84 Constitution Amendment Act 2001. This amendment provides that until the publication of the relevant figure of the first census after 2026, the assessment of the public of state for following persons shall be made on the basis of census such against each of them. Election of president under Article 55, 1971 census. Allotment of seat to each state in the Lok Sabha 1971 census. Divided of state into territorial Lok Sabha constituencies 1991 census. Please like my video if you like it. Composition of Legislative Assembly under Article 170 census. Reservation of seat for ST in Lok Sabha under Article 371. 91 Constitution Amendment Act 2003. The amendment limits the size minister at the center and in state according to the new clause 1A. The total number of ministers, including the Prime Minister in the Union Council of Ministers or Chief Minister in the State Legislative Assembly, shall be exceeded 50%. 15% of the total number of Lok Sabha in the center of Vidhan Sabha in the state. The Lok Sabha clause 1B of Article 75 provide that the member either House of Parliament belong to another political party who is disqualified for being member of that house on the ground of defection shall also in be disqualified to appointment appointed as a minister under clause 1 article 74 and 164 until he again elected. However, the number of ministers, including the chief minister in the state, shall not be less than 12 in similar states like Sikkim, Mizoram, and Goa. 22nd Constitution Amendment Act 2003. It amended the 8th schedule of the Constitution and has inserted four new languages in it, namely Bodo, Dongri, Methali, and Santhali. After this amendment, the total number of constitution recognized official language has been 22. 94 Constitution Amendment Act 2006 excluded the Bihar from the provinces. Clause 1 of Article 164 excluded Bihar. Clause 1 of the Constitution, which provides that there shall be a minister in charge of tribunal welfare who may in additional be in charge of the welfare of the scheduled caste and backward classes in Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha. It extended the provision of Clause 1, Article 164 to the newly formed state of Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. 95 Constitution Amendment Act 2009 extended the reservation of seat of STSC in the Lok Sabha and the State Assembly by another 10 years beyond January 25, 2010, the time period of 60 years under Article 334. The Constitution was to lapse on 25 January 2010 through this amendment in Article 1334. The word 60 years has been substituted by 70 years. 98 Constitution Amendment Act 2012 inserted of Article 371J special provisions with respect to state of Karnataka. 99th Constitution Amendment Act 2014 inserted a few new articles 124A, 124B, 124C amendment in Article 1 127, 128, 2017, and 217, 222, 224, and 231 of the National Judicial Appointment Commission. 16 state assemblies out of 28 states, including Goa, Rajasthan, and Telangana and Tripura. Rectified. Rectified the central legislation that enables the President of India to give his assent to the bill. However, the Supreme Court on 16th October 2015 clashed the amendment in auto 100 Constitution Amendment Act 2015 amendment in the first schedule of the Constitution of India to give effect to the acquiring of Bangladesh and conferment of citizenship rights to residents of enclaves consequent to single of land boundary agreement LBA treaty between India and Bangladesh. 101 Constitution Amendment Act 2016. Seventh and sixth and seventh along with Article 248, 249, 250, 268, 269, 270, 271, 366, 360 have been amendment Article 246A, 269A, 279A are inserted while Article 268A being omitted. Article 246A containing special provisions with respect to GST. No noticing anything containing in Article 246 and 254. Parliament and subject to clause 2 and the respect to good and services tax imposed by the union by the such GST bill. Parliament has excluded the power to make a law with the respect of goods and services tax, where the supply of goods or services or both take place in the course of interstate trade. The provision of this in the respect of goods and services tax reference in the clause 5 of Article 279A take effect from the date recommended by the Goods and Services Tax Council. Newly inserted Article 269A refers to the levy and the collection of GST in course of interstate trade or commerce. Article 279, a newly inserted the Goods and Services Tax Council, amending the 16th Sixth Schedule tax on the entertainment, and amusements has been inserted. Amendment 7th schedule in entries 54, 52, 55, 92, and 92C has been omitted while entry 54, 62, 84 has been substituted, referring to GST amendment of 7th schedule containing compensation to state for loss of revenue and account of introducing of goods and services tax. Transitional provinces power of president to remove difficulty etc. Constitution 102nd Constitution Amendment Act 218. This act provides the state to the National Commission for the Backward Class. A new Article 338B Article 342 has been inserted in the Constitution after this amendment, beside the modification of Article 338 and 366. 103 Constitution Amendment Act 2019 DOA 12 2019. The Act amend Article 15 and 16 of the Constitution by adding a clause which allows a state to make special provisions for the advancement of any economically weaker section of citizen. EWS. 144 Constitutional Amendment Bill 2019. On January 8, while the bill was passed by the Rajya Sabha the next day, 9th January, the President assent on the bill was received on January 12. Executive of the Council Union, the President. Panchayati Raj. The term Panchayati Raj in India signifies the system of rural self-government. The subject of local government is mentioned in the state list under the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Raj was constitutionalized through the 73 Constitution Amendment Act 1992. This bill was passed by the Lok Sabha on 22 December 1992 and by the Raj Sabha on 23rd 1990 23rd December 1992. Later, it approved by the 17th State Assemblies and received the assent, assent of the President on April 23, 1993. This act became effective from 24 April 1993. The act became the effective. This act was added a new para 9 to the constitution. This part is entitled as the Panchayati Raj is consist of provision from Article 243 to 243O. This act has also added a new 11th schedule to the constitution. These schedules contain 29 function item of the panchayat. It deals with the article 2 243G part 9 of Panchayati Raj Panchayat at the village level, the district panchayat at the district level. District level, the intermediate panchayat in state where the publication is above 20 lakh. All the seats in the Panchayat Raj filled by direct election. The electorate is named Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha is a village assembly consisting of all the registered voters in the area of a panchayat. The member of panchayat at the village, immediate and district level shall be elected directly by the people. The chairman of panchayats at the intermediate and district level, Jila Parishad, shall be elected indirectly by and from the against the elected members. Therefore, of Sarpanch presides over the meeting of Gram Sabha even in scheduled areas. The chairman of a panchayat village level is elected according to the law passed by the state. The state and a reservation. The law passed by the state. Seats are reserved in panchayat for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes in proportional of their population. PESA Act of 1998 explains the provision of 9 the to the panchayat are not applicable to the fifth schedule. Fifth schedule areas, however, the panchayat parliament may extend these provisions to such areas. Under these provisions, and the parliament has enacted the provision of panchayat extended to be the scheduled area Article 1996, popularly known as the PESA Act, the Extension Act, and 10 states Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, and Telangana have the fifth area till 2016. Out of the reservation seats, a seat one third is reserved for women. One third is reserved for women belonging the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe. One third of the total seats will be filled direct in the election. Every panchayat is reserved for the women. A state can a state can make similar reservation for fourth chairman person in the panchayat. Every every panchayat can continue for 5 years from the date of first meeting. It can be dissolved earlier in according to with the state law. A panchayat reconstituent after premature dissolution continues only for the remainder of the period. But if the remainder of the period is less than 6 months, it not necessary to hold election. All the persons above 21 year of age and qualified to a member of state legislature and qualified as the member of panchayat. Panchayat can be interested to prepare and implement plans for economic development and social justice. A state can authorize a panchayat to levy collective and approach taxes, duties, tolls, etc. After the 73rd Amendment of Constitution 24 April 1993, every 5 years the appointment of finance commission to review the financial position. State election commissioner. Council of the State Election Commissioner appointed as the governor for the substance suspension, direction and control election to panchayats. And the community development program was launched on 2 October 1952. The democratic and decentration was implemented for the first time in 1958 in some areas of Andhra Pradesh on experimental basis. The panchayat was introduced for the first time on October 1959 in Nagar district of Rajasthan by the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Rajasthan and is the first state in India where Panchayati Raj was implemented. Rajasthan is the first state where the Panchayati was implemented. Rajasthan was followed by Andhra Pradesh, which also adopted the system in 1959. 1959, Andhra Pradesh adopted the report of LMC Committee Realization of Panchayati Raj Introduction Government of India 1986, focusing on the patriotic vision of democracy as an of Panchayati Raj momentum. The committee take the Indian villages and the Sabha as the Republican base of our democratic nation. It considered the Gram Sabha as the embodiment of direct democracy. It recognition Naya Panchayat and integrated administration structure. A subcommitted A subcommittee of the Consultative Committee of Parliament was considered in 1988 under the chairmanship of P.K. which made recommendation for the first time that the Panchayat Raj body should be cons- constitutionally recognized, but the recommendation of the Gadgil Committee constituted in 1988 under the chairmanship of B.N. Gadgil began the basic of drafting an amendment bill aimed at the conferring the constitution status and protection to the Panchayat Raj institution. Committee related to Panchayat Raj. Economic growth and development, a term coming from the life science. Growth in the economic means the economic growth, an increase on economic variables over a period of time. The economic growth, the most important aspect of growth in its qualifiability. One can measure it in absolute term as EMF. As the IMF and WB considered this yardstick of development and quota in Gerald M. Mentor and James E. Wunsch leader issue in economic development. Oxford University Press. New Delhi 2006. All the units of measurement can be applied to show it depending upon the economic variable where the growth is being studied. We have few example. An economy might have been able to see the growth in the food production during decades which would be measured in tons. The growth of road network in the economic might be measured for a decades of any period in the mile of kilometers. Similarly, the value of total production of and means the economic is growing. Per capita income uh, for uh, for an economic might be measured in the momentary term over period. Economic growth is qualitative process. To calculate the growth rate of an economic variable, the difference between the concerned period is converted into percentage form. Growth rate in an annual concept which may be used otherwise with the clear reference of the period for which it is used. Through the growth is a value neutral term. It might be possible or negative for an economic for a period. We generally use it in the positive sense. Positive sense, if the economics say an economic is growing, it means the economic having positive growth. Otherwise, they use in term negative. Economic development. Growth was considered as a cause and effect for the betterment of life of people. This was the reason why the economists till 1950 felt the distinction between growth and development through they knew the differences between these terms. It was all during the 1960s and in later decades that the economists came across many countries where the growth was comparatively higher, but the quality of life was comparatively low. For economics, development indicates the quality of life. Development indicates quality of life, and the economic which might be seen accordance with the ability of so many variables such as the level of nutrition and the explanation of reach of a healthcare facility, healthcare facilities, hospital, medicines, etc. etc. The level of education among variable on depends. Masses are to granted with a basic minimum of quality enhanced input. Ever given variable such level of income has been to be granted for them. Income is generated from productive activities. It means that before ensuring the development, we need to ensure acure growth. Higher economic development require higher economic growth, but it does not mean that the higher economic growth automatically economic development of early economists fail to clear. Now tomorrow we study the characteristics of Indian economy or agrarian economic, mixed economic, developing economic, and national incomes.
Good night, friends.